Hello everyone, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040 and welcome to another edition of the Supergirl Season 6 review series. And today I am going to be talking about Episode 8, Welcome Back Kara, which I've just finished watching. And this episode was okay. Wasn't as good as Episode 7, but at the same time there was some good stuff that I did enjoy about this episode. And I wouldn't put this episode as terrible, but I wouldn't put this down as excellent. It was okay. Pretty solid, if I'm truly honest. Basically, what we've seen throughout the first half of Season 6 was Kara was trapped in the Phantom Zone, and throughout the first half of the show, J'onn J'onzz, Alex, and Brainy, and Nia have been on a relentless mission to try and rescue Kara from the Phantom Zone, and during her time being trapped in there, she was reunited with her Kryptonian father, Zor-El, and this was the first time that we have actually seen Kara's Kryptonian father, because we've always seen her Kryptonian mother throughout most of the show's run, and he was barely even mentioned. So now that the two of them have reunited, we saw at the end of episode 7, J'onn J'onzz and everyone went to the Phantom Zone, rescued Kara and her father, and managed to escape. But, however, little did they know that Mixius Pitalik's sister, Nixley, managed to stow away on the ship and has now somehow found her way back into Earth. So, a pretty good way to end episode 7 and a cool way to set up episode 8. But as I said, this episode didn't really live up to episode 7. It wasn't a great follow-up, but at the same time it wasn't a terrible follow-up. It was okay, but there was some stuff that I did enjoy about this episode. And aside from all of that, I wouldn't put this episode down as one of the best. I would probably say this episode was average. Not weak, but at the same time not strong, just average. And episode 8 pretty much picks up where we left off at the end of episode 7. Kara is now back on Earth with her friends and just trying to readjust to living in the real world, because she had been trapped in the Phantom Zone for quite a while. So that was kind of interesting to see her dealing with having to battle phantoms and learning about what's been going on in her absence. So as I said, there was some good stuff that I enjoyed about this episode, but I probably wouldn't put this episode down as one of my favourites, because there just wasn't a whole lot to get your teeth into. So with that all said, let's get straight into it. Let's talk about episode 8, Welcome Back, Kara. So this episode opens with Brainy on a mission carrying a package to the tower, spy style, and the package turns out to be a welcome home cake for Kara to celebrate her return after being rescued from being trapped in the Phantom Zone, although she's still resting under sun lamps. Unfortunately, it's not restful for her as she wakes up from a nightmare about being trapped in the Phantom Zone, even though she tells Alex she doesn't want to talk about it. Kara says she never wants to hear the word phantoms ever again. Kara greets her friends who are happy to see her. Kara tells Lena it's only because of her being on the team that she's now home. Kelly is absent as she is at an orientation for her job, but Zor-El is awake and meeting Supergirl's friends for the first time. He's impressed with the towers, and he tells them he plans to stay in National City for a little bit to see what Kara has been up to. His cover is Uncle Archie, as we see Zor-El in plain clothes and glasses, very similar to Clark Kent, who is visiting from Midvale. Kara and Nia take him to work at Catco, where Kara is nervous about going back to work and also facing William after the way she left, which was not her fault, of course. Nia tells Kara about the complicated cover story she came up with for her, just as the elevator opens and Andrea is waiting for her. Kara has to tell her that there was no story, that her source took everything off the record, and Andrea is upset. As for meeting, it's revealed that Catco has slipped in the ratings after the Lex Luthor trial collapsed, and she wants them to get back to being #1 in a month or they're all fired. Lovely. She assigns Kara to get an exclusive with Supergirl about the National City phantom attacks, something that comes as a distressing surprise to her. Also, a surprise to Kara, she learns that William is now dating someone after realizing that she has actually been trapped in the Phantom Zone for quite a long time. Outside, we see Nia and Zor-El are talking when he notices that something is falling from the sky. She tells him to suit up and fly, and we see Zor-El and Supergirl take off to stop the satellite from crashing into the city, with Supergirl giving her father a few quick lessons on how to use his powers. They discover a large island of trash made up of the old CEO after it was destroyed off the coast that's now covered in toxic chemicals. Kara tries to sell Andrea on the Trash Island story, but she gives the story to William instead. Catco's story stock is falling, and she's deeply fixated on the Supergirl and Phantoms story. Andrea is fixated on boosting the ratings and getting exclusive with Supergirl to do it. When Kara tries to work the story, it gives her flashbacks, but her father calls her to the tower. He's discovered that the Earth is on the same path of destruction as Krypton was, as the oceans are dying. The fire on the island has reignited as well, and it turns out there's Dominator tech to blame. Zor-El is upset, and Kara takes him to show him around inside the Fortress of Solitude. Inside the fortress, Zor-El is excited to see that she has a Kellex, and he then realizes that he has an idea of how to save the Earth's oceans. They return to the tower with an upgraded Kellex called Oscar, named for Oscar the Grouch, that can essentially shrink trash and convert it to energy that will then absorb and render harmless. Jean has concerns, but Zor-El wants to act now. They dispatch Oscar, and he gets to work. Initially, all goes perfectly, but soon enough, garbage begins to attach itself to Oscar, and he just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and they are unable to recall him or find him on their satellite. Supergirl and Jean go looking for him as his programming has been corrupted. It turns out he's connected to some Daxamite technology that cloaks him. Oscar's energy core is also getting hotter and hotter, so it could explode like a nuclear bomb. Brainy decides to give him a virus to shut him down. Zor-El is resistant, but it's clear he's fixed on saving Earth because he couldn't save Krypton. He relents and helps Brainy with the virus. Oscar comes out of the water as a giant metal trash monster and starts attacking, as he's also picked up a parasitic creature that's pretty much driving things now. Kara and her friends show up to stop him. Brainy loses control of his drone, and Oscar is protected by a force field. Brainy tricks Oscar into thinking he's trash and taking him in. Supergirl and Jean are both knocked back, and Supergirl's suit is breached, so she's not protected from the kryptonite that the monster is laced in, which triggers her PTSD and Sentinels. Sentinel and Dreamer both move to protect Supergirl, but they are all knocked back just as Brainy's virus is delivered and the day is saved. Supergirl cleans up the mess, hurtling it into the sun. Nice. As the rankings and situation gets worse for Catco, and even William's story isn't meaty enough for her, Andrea uses her Acaretta medallion to break into Lex's house to snoop for information. She finds out William's source about Lex was telling the truth, but she also finds files on Kara's friends. She takes those, and they become her fixation. She decides they are the real story that will save Catco. Oh boy. Zor-El feels bad for the mess he made and realizes he needs to go to Argo City to face Allura, something he's put off out of guilt for not being able to save their world. He thought saving Earth would earn his way back to her. Zor-El tells Kara that she doesn't have to carry the weight of Earth on her shoulders every day, and it's okay to sometimes be human. Nia is struggling to see Kara and her father together, as it's bringing up her longing for her own mother, and she confides in Lena about her feelings. Lena tells her that her fear vision was about her own mother, and Lena calls Nia and tells her that she finally accepts that she's not responsible for her mother's death, and she's decided to go home to where she was born. Kara opens up to Alex about the Phantom Zone, and Alex opens up about how she feels as well. She says they will get through it together, and then we see, as the episode draws to a close, Nia wakes up from a dream saying, Nixley, and that's how we end episode 8, and that wraps up my review. Overall, this episode wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst either. There were some parts that I enjoyed, like seeing Zor-El acting like Uncle Archie, very similar to how Clark was, although the nerd was kind of funny to see. So that was kind of cool, seeing Kara and Zor-El bonding together. And aside from all of that, and Kara dealing with being out of the Phantom Zone and being trapped in there for so long. This episode didn't really have much else going for it, but at the same time, it was still enjoyable and I still enjoyed watching it. So hopefully, episode 9 will be a little bit better and maybe get back on track. But this episode won't go down as the worst or the greatest. I would say this episode was pretty average. So that's going to be it from me. I'm going to wrap this up now. What did you think of episode 8? Did you enjoy it? What was your thoughts on Kara and Zor-El bonding? Do you think we'll see Zor-El again? And also, what kind of role do you think Nyxly will play in the next episode? And also, do you think it's a possibility that Nia could actually get to see her mother one day? And also, what about Lena finally accepting the truth and deciding to go home where she was born? What do you think she will find there? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see all of you next time for another edition of the Supergirl Season 6 review series, where I am going to be talking about episode 9, which I am looking forward to seeing, and hopefully it will be a little bit more stronger than this one. So until next time, take care everybody, and stay safe, and once again, thanks for listening.